welcome to Tuesday. Everybody in the cycling industry, Tuesday is a pretty good day because you got through Monday, you got through the hot mess, and it's Tuesday as you quite hear my little stage crashing of rims. Tuesday is usually like the order day, get your head straight, get figured out what you're doing. So need to do a little adjustment here. All right, so you can hear me a little bit better. Hey, thank you for hanging out with me. I am Justin from Anoa Guy Bicycles, and this is Shop Talk Tuesday. And if you haven't watched these before, it's basically a vlog podcast designed to, if you want to ask questions, chime right in. If you just want to like it, thumbs up. If you don't want to like it, do the other thing. Other than that, though, we're here to discuss bicycle industry, to become a kind of a warm, safe space for those who either work in the industry, have worked in the industry, or those who are just average rider that just wants to get a peek behind the scene of what do we do behind that wall of all shops nowadays, because majority of the shops over the last 20 years have built a wall over their service so they can hide their mechanics. Basically to hope to increase efficiency and all that. Therefore, there's always that mystery of where your bike rolls back behind that wall and what happens. In any case, thanks for hanging out with me. Randy, thank you for chiming in. Glad you were able to make it. Hopefully it's not too hot down there in Texas. It is going to be a toasty one for us here around the 90s, and we've had a streak of them. So my afternoon efficiency is kind of in the shop anyway depleted because I'm in actual regular garage in a regular house. I don't have AC pumping in here, but if this continues, I don't know, maybe not. It's just at an expense. In any case, thank you for joining me. So today's topic, what was our topic today? Winter is coming. We've been watching Game of Thrones, so it kind of got me the mindset like winter is coming. And if you haven't watched Game of Thrones, you don't need to enjoy this podcast. But we're going to talk about certain things within the industry that I found kind of interesting. Needless to say, there's some news that's always news, right? And our industry is always constantly changing. And on top of changing, it's kind of uncertain where it's changing to. And to give you kind of a little bit of insights of what I've been experiencing of late and what our current state of the state is in August of 2025. So let's kind of recap a couple of things that's been going on. I had a couple interviews the last couple of weeks. I was hoping to have another one today, but hey, that's fine, and actually this gives me opportunity to not sit there and nod my head and go, and keep my disagreements. I'll kind of revisit some of those conversation pieces. And just, give my really kind of, I wouldn't say true, it's already my true, but more of a thought through what I've experienced with those particular interviews. But needless to say, we're in uncertain times. Our economics is kind of strange is best way of putting it without being insulting or too political or whatever. And we'll talk about some of the brands today too. I have a couple key notes I want to kind of discuss, and please join in. And also in the chat, feel free to plug in some questions, and it doesn't have to be what I'm talking about either. If you have a question about how to do a headset or whatever, more than happy to kind of take a side note and explain a couple things. I've been getting a lot of emails, communications from different platforms, a little technical. Either I need to make a video of it, which eventually I will, like headset bearings with a match, where can I find the new ones, where can I find used ones, stuff like that. I figure this might be a good place to direct those individuals. So if you have those particular questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, or afterwards, if you're watching this on the replay, put them in the comments below, and therefore I either will address it the following week or address it directly. In any case, thanks again for hanging out with me. I hope you can hear me fine. I hope you can see me fine. I hope everybody's feeling fine. August is kind of a crazy time in general. It doesn't, starting with the recap, our state of the state is unprecedentedly different, but there's still a few things that are still steady keynotes throughout the season for us here in the United States. And there's different regions, of course, that are affected a little bit differently within our region, so we can talk about that too. And yeah, I say winter's coming. Well, that's for obviously me here in Colorado, thinking about forward thinking, actually going into the off season and what probably best practice is, and going in there and thinking about maybe changing it up or doing more of the same or whatever the case may be. But when we're looking at, those who are looking outside into the United States, welcome, thank you. And this is also a safe space for you. I know I have some individuals that watch me from down under. Awesome. Thank you for hanging out and enjoying the conversations and so forth. Hopefully you are having a warmer than average winter so you can do some riding. But in any case, and also there's our friends in Europe that do a lot. I mean, cycling is just huge in Europe. And I saw an article about that. I'm going to talk about that too. That was kind of intriguing. But going into our state of the state, what we're looking at right now is, in general, in the cycling season, and some shops don't have seasons per se. It's just one steady, big, long, hot mess, which like San Diego, Seattle's kind of that way, oddly enough. Even though they do have a rainier season, people just ride still. But the weather's more tempered. Then you have, in our United States, we have the flip seasons for those down south, which for my friends and colleagues from Swanee Cycles in Las Vegas, I was just there, a week ago. And holy cow, I thought I could be able to sneak a ride in earlier in the morning when it's in the 80s degree Fahrenheit, was their lows. And that was like at 4:30 to 5:30 in the morning. And I just couldn't get my lazy butt up early enough to go for that ride. But that shows you those particular areas, their window for cycling in their off season, which is extreme heat, is so little. Even though they do have people that do a lot of rides and they do get used to it. I did talk to a couple of the locals there, and like they do eventually get used to it ish. That week was kind of rough for me. In any case, I'm back and did a couple of rides here, which are. Our 80 degrees is usually more in the, like right now, about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock our time. So you can get that ride in. I guess I'm not bad of an early bird of a rider. I could be out there between 7 and 8. But in any case, when you're looking at those particular seasonalities, for us, mostly on the northern side of the states where we do have a summer, winter, fall, and sometimes spring. And usually it hits and we don't know when it actually hits, and when it does hit, it hits hard, and then we're busy for 5-6 weeks, and then we're into August. And for us here, it's back to schools, which is kind of like a double whammy in the sense of business and promotional pushes. And we also have a holiday coming up in the first part of September, and that's kind of like the tail end of the season it used to be to push out whatever the products go. Okay, so you're looking at the bike shop level, ground level, where I am. I'm about 4 weeks out on repairs. I'm doing a lot of refurbishing bike frames and parts to sell. So that's kind of like the two incomes that are coming in for me and working well. So you got that perspective. And then you got the perspective of the manufacturers, which basically they're in a really hot mess because they're paralyzed from the talk of tariffs, some tariffs going into effect, whatever that may mean, whatever their products are being made of, and some of that, and we'll talk about that too in a little bit. But typically on a normal, not so chaotic, economical administration situation, I don't want to make this a political point or anything, but it is affecting us. So quite honestly, it's regardless of how you feel about it, they are having a hard time figuring out what products go where. Less is going to go probably in the United States is committed. They'll probably lean on other markets outside the United States to kind of offset the numbers that they'll lose here. But overall, they probably are just expecting to just be down. And however they're going to do that to adjust for either volume of bikes being produced and released into, this is the time of year when they're at the ordering books going, we need to order for next spring bikes, productions, designs, new release of products. All that stuff is going on now for them. So things go into production and so forth in the off season. We're starting to see it either springtime and so forth. Some companies even further out windows. So that therefore it's going to cripple the trickle down in the sense of products and so forth. If it's not bread and butter or has a solid numbers behind it, those manufacturers, Trek, Specialized, whoever's pushing bikes into the United States is going to be affected by this, and they're already have been affected by this, and they're pulling back. So therefore, yeah, there will still be bikes for sale. They'll still have bikes to fill their showroom floors. The prices will obviously vary between the week and whatever gets resolved. But unfortunately, in their perspective, they don't have any crystal ball, no consistency, and no guarantees. So therefore, they have to basically expect the worst and hope for the best. So that's going to affect bike shops that carry new product, and also various outlets that direct to cut into consumer sales. So you're probably going to see prices, which we have already on a lot of products, go up. We still see some products be on sale just to help with cash flow for some of these companies. And talking to John Bradley 2 weeks ago, he says it's pretty uncertain times, and for those companies, there's a good chance that somebody's going to fail. Who's that going to be? Don't know. Or then again, change. And in the cycling industry, on a good season or average season, there's always change. So looking at that, we're looking at some very, very questionable uncertainties. And I think this is just going to be compounded for the next year and a half to come until things stabilize here inside our borders of the United States. It is, I mean, honestly, it is a hot mess. And every hour on hour, I just have to turn off the news because I'll just go freaking insane. And it's therefore just work on bikes. And cycling is supposed to be a happy, pleasant place and a safe place for all of us. And it's a shared global experience. Those who learn how to ride for commuting, riding for just transportation, or just seeing or traveling and all that. There's so many different aspects of cycling, which is great. It's evolved over the last 30 years, even more so in infrastructure of a lot of cities as well in the United States. Built a lot of paths and help people just get out there. And the insurgence of the e-bikes has really helped those to get out to cycling, however you may feel about it. There's a lot of positive to some negative, but then again, that's with a lot of parts of it. But when it comes down to a small micro shop like we're looking at here, yeah, we're faced with some crazy uncertainties. And yes, winter is coming, and we got to prepare that. And what I mean for just winter, it's just whatever we need to do to protect ourselves, get ourselves in the healthiest position possible to move forward. That includes cyclists too. I mean, if you're an avid cyclist and you're thinking for getting bikes tuned up, maybe a new ride, supplies, get some extra chains, tubes, tires, that kind of thing to kind of be prepared. That's always a good thing. If you find the prices to be a little bit lower, you can stockpile that a little bit. But I don't think you're going to go crazy. A lot of stuff's still going to get into the States, but it's one of those things where, I don't know. So yeah, let's dive into some of those topic pieces and so forth. And yes, Randy, a toasty hot, I am sure. We're riding all year round. Nice. Awesome. So in any case, cyclists, you got road riders, mountain riders, gravel riders, you got all the spectrums. And if you walk in any bike shop, you'll see all those different categories and so forth. And if you get a shop that really just, softly approaches you and it's like, hey, let me give you a tour of our shop, and, introduce to the service mechanics and other salespeople and what they do in the shop. And hey, I just want to give you the experience. That's great. The last few shops I walked into, don't get that. But it's fine. Some of them just do recognize me because, either here or they recognize me as a community. Like, oh yeah, you're that guy that sells used bikes and stuff and talks their ear off. But whatever, they like to play nice. If you're ingrained in in the area long enough, you get to know a lot of the players that been in the industry for a while, owners, so forth, and that kind of thing. And you may develop your own opinions. I mean, I don't have really any horrible negative opinions of anybody in my cycling community currently. So we're all kind of, I hope to feel this way. I hope it's a mutual feeling like we're all kind of in this together, and we'll help each other out, because at the end of the day, we really need to help each other out. Either if you're a competitor, or bike mechanic who works at a different shop or whatever, that community needs to be built up and respected. Because in our community, we've had some shop owners that have been very aggressive towards each other. But the funny thing is, a lot of the staff between both stores knew each other really well, and they jumped ship back and forth. Therefore, we have a community amongst under those big owners that own several locations and that kind of thing. So that was always an interesting dynamic. But yeah, so for cyclists, you want to, your ride, right? Your baby, your beautiful sanity piece of mental health advocate equipment. It's a great investment. If you do it right, and if you get into cycling, whatever you put into it, even though you may pay a little extra, it's going to pay for itself 10 times fold for your sanity. So therefore, that's always a good thing. Going into the off season, if you're just new into cycling, or you're getting to more of the racing perspective and all that, and look for lighter parts and so forth, off season is really a great opportunity to do those things. Also, a lot of pro or semi-pro racers start dumping their bikes around October or November, the off season for racing, to get bikes, or they're going to be buying their new bike, or they get gifted a bike from the sponsorship. I'm not sure they're going to be seeing a lot of that, because a lot of manufacturers right now are hurting. But you're still going to see that flow. And that's where the premise of the pros closet became a thing, right? So they're in Boulder, where there's a mecca amount of racers, and they came with the phrase, the pros closet, and they're revamped and back to life again, and that kind of thing. So, but that's upper end stuff. You're talking still $2,000-$3,000 bikes. For most of us that just do recreational riding, we don't need that. Don't need it at all. But in any case, I do need to do a couple little plugs here as I clear my throat and sip some coffee. So please bear with me. Guy Bicycles, hanging with the guy. Hey, I'm Justin, the guy in the garage. I do have a garage shop, and you see most of these tools behind me. I want to do a shout out to Jensen's USA, which you'll find a link below if you're looking for some good pricing and as well tools to fit or to expand your actual shop at home. All right, yeah, Jensen's, that's all affiliate. So I'm going to talk to some of you bike shop people directly, heart to heart, in a little bit when we get to my winter perspective. But let's still keep talking the conversation of those who are just the cyclists. You want to learn how to work on your bike? There's a billion videos. Park Tool has an awesome library of videos of how to do headsets, bottom bracket, and so forth. If there's something specific that's like not really covered in there, or it's aged, you came to the right place. I'm an old fart. I've been around for a long time. I've worked on a lot of these older bikes. YouTube wasn't around when a lot of stuff was being made. So if you have a question, either ping me here at on the YouTube channel, in the comments, or better yet, contact me at justin@anoaguybicycles.com. Therefore, I can get an email, and then I can kind of address and attach pictures and videos and stuff if need be. In any case, so yes, off season is a great time to upgrade your ride, find some better parts. If you have an old speed system like a 9-speed, you want to change to a 10-speed, excuse me, that's an opportunity to do that. Upgrade a frame, get a different fit, get another bike. If you're looking at used, this is the most beautiful time to buy. Horrible time to sell. So people are going to have some really good prices on some gyms that have been sitting around, and you might be able to find yourself something spectacular, and that, you know, if you want to add to your stable or just get into cycling or upgrade. There's a lot of us, I would say about a good 80% of the market in the United States cycling market. The 20% I would say is the more racer elite or avid cyclists that have justified to spend the more money, but the rest of 80% of us, the used market is a great opportunity to do so. And I've had, you'd think I'd had a hard time during the summertime to buy some of these awesome deals. Since the market's so weird right now, it's a great opportunity to buy. So you can find yourself a pretty good thing. And parts are hitting eBay like no other. A lot of people are doing what I'm doing, taking a frame bike, chopping it up, selling the parts and the frame and everything separate. Because right now, that's the only thing that's really moving. The full bikes are having a hard time move. If you're doing what we're doing, as in fixing it up and refurbishing it, unfortunately, those margins have depleted. So for us to, I mean, I do sell some full bikes still, of course. I'd still try to do that. But you're seeing a lot of us, there's opportunity and so forth. And just to give you an example, let me see if I can pull up a page here. Let's see. Okay. Do a little screen share. See, I can find the eBay. I'll just show you. So I have eBay store. I've been doing eBay off and on since early 2000s. So good 25-ish years. I left it for a while because, it got burned out. But, I do have parts and frames, and this is kind of this is where you can get those opportunities to, move product or sell. If you're a bike shop, this has been very interesting. I do a lot of searching on Facebook Marketplace, and all of a sudden I start seeing a couple of my products that I didn't list there, but showing up in Facebook Marketplace. But apparently eBay and Facebook Marketplace has made a deal. So now what that means, it's for somebody that wants to sell a product and willing to ship, this is a great opportunity to list it here and not worry about doing the Facebook Marketplace, because it's going to eventually filter there anyway. Probably not everything, but I mean, for the main key, products for sure, that kind of thing. And for myself, I sold a slew of parts and a few frames in the last few days. So that's definitely very good. And it's August, so obviously it's a little more of a height of our season, but that kind of thing. So I do have a store there. But when you're looking at, I mean, for any of those, for just beginning, and you're looking for a part, and you figure out the part number, let's say ST6500, which is a Shimano shifter set. And, you can get rights, lefts. Apparently there's a camera in there. If you want to refine that, I would probably put Shimano in there. So let's do that. So this is an awesome, great way to look for parts that maybe match your vintage. A lot of shops are starting to leverage this because they're having a hard time finding 9-speed stuff. And like some of these and the only thing to just keep mindful of is when you're looking at these, if you're looking at a buyer that has over 1,000 reviews, that means they're pretty legit. I mean, they're in the sense of in it for the business. So they're going to, make sure the parts it's in their best interest to make sure the parts are in good condition and work well, or at least functional. So you feel a little bit better about buying something from those individuals. So that's something to consider. And let's see, go back. So, I mean, even caps, the caps on these are just drive me, it's funny because they just break, like these caps that are sitting here. But, you need to find out more detail. There's a lot of part numbers. So the 6510 is a little bit newer model. And when I say newer, it's still 20 years plus old. But there has a little bit better design. Front cap of thing that shifts a little bit smoother. And don't be worried about if you're missing these caps, because they pop off. Hey, there's my listing right there. And so you can get, there's somebody that makes 3D printed ones on eBay. You can buy those and paint them whatever color you want. They have no function, but you want to make sure everything else is shifting. You'll still find a couple, and once in a while you'll find like still new in the box, which is they'll charge like 300 plus and so forth. What I'm getting at on this, and just not try to bore you or give you that kind of thing, just give you a little bit of insights. For bike shops alike, but most consumers, if you're looking to upgrade or need to replace a shifter and so forth, that kind of thing, it is definitely toast. This is the opportunity in the off season to look for those parts and either try to install it yourself or just have your local shop do it for you, that kind of thing. So it's one of those things where there's opportunities to do that, and the prices do fluctuate. But if you're a seller, a bike shop selling parts, I found very fruitful in the off season to clear out all your like freaking bins of somewhat decent parts and list them to help generate some cash flow. Or your garage and you got some leftover trade-in parts or whatever, and you need to like make them go away, get a home for them. There's an opportunity there too. Reason being is you can ship them, and you shouldn't be afraid of shipping. If you know how to do a little bit of packing, especially small parts, you can go through USPS here in the States. Flat rates are not too expensive. You can do it nationwide. Just do a little bit of research before you do all that. But sometimes you may get burned. I would highly recommend not doing international shipping. It depends if you're willing to take that risk. It is more money. There's like custom costs and all that kinds of weird stuff. You can do it. And some people, I will do it once in a while, but it's not a norm for me. So, but in any case, beware what countries you're shipping to. Some may be different today than it was 20 years ago when it started, but shipping to a certain couple countries, basically it was a guarantee that part is going to be lost. It just never makes it. So just any case, just be there. But I'm not trying to scare you at all. Just be educational about it a little bit. But in the States, it's a little bit safer and so forth. Bet those individuals that are buying on eBay, if you're just double check and see if they have good reviews, then feel comfortable with it. I had one dumb moment on my part, which I should have reviewed that, but I shipped it to somebody that was a fraudulent prick. He stole my bike. Somehow he contested it with eBay, said he got a box of rocks versus nothing, than what I shipped him, which I did ship him, and they waited on his side. I lost $700. So, through eBay, it is definitely a buyer protected platform per se versus a seller. Nothing against that, but it's just, if you're selling to somebody that has a pretty good record, you should be fine. Same thing with Facebook Marketplace. If you want to use that platform, you have a shipping option there. Keep in mind there's a high percentage to pay for that. But build that into the price, and people will understand that for the pricing on it. We were talking about bikes, frames, full bikes, frames, and wheels. That's a great opportunity to sell and move that stuff out of your garage, that kind of thing. And I'm going to pull my little promo here, give you an idea. I use Bike Flights. This is why. A whole bunch of bike stuff, and you just need to get rid of it. No longer needs to be in your garage, needs to be in somebody else's garage, and actually, maybe being used. Go to bikeflights.com. You can actually open an account yourself, or just put in a one-time usage, put in the destination, so forth, the bike size, dimensions, and weight. Don't forget the weight. And add that insurance, because you'll definitely want to make sure that insurance is covered. If something happens in that UPS or FedEx or whatever transfer going to that next destination, you want to be protected. Then you just have to drop it off at your local UPS store and be able to get it on its way. And again, I have shipped bikes, parts, wheels, and frames for decades now. And Bike Flights is sure enough one of the best directions to go. So needless to say, bike shops and also individuals alike, there's a great opportunity. That's actually where I found the cheapest rates. If you're a bike shop, you can actually apply for one of their programs and so forth, even get more of a discount. I tried to get a UPS, or I did get a UPS account as well as a FedEx account. Their rates were so much higher because of the sheer volume that goes through bike flights. They're able to trickle that price down. But the silver lining of that, though, is if you just work through eBay, they already have that price structure, which is very similar. So if you want to do the eBay thing, they'll have a pricing option to either go to USPS or UPS, and therefore bring those prices down to help you out there too as well. So any case, as long as, but Bike Flights is really good about showing you. They have a plethora of videos of how to pack bikes, wheels, forks, anything that's bigger than yay size, that kind of thing. Blight, thank you for joining. Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate it. I have had recently used eBay. I will sell an item, but the buyer is a gateway for an international buyer. I get my payment, send the part, interaction. Oh, they retract their payment. Ooh, yeah. Although there is, I had a couple of shipments to a facility in Chicago, and I think they're worked through eBay to send products to out of the country. So I haven't had any problems with that part. So, but in any case, there's a risk every time. Therefore, doing frames and parts and wheels and that kind of thing versus a full bike, instead of getting burned like I did for $700, if I only get burned on $50, that's a little bit easier to absorb than the full bike. So, definitely the full bike transactions, I really vet it. Even through my website when I sell, I'll contact the buyer, kind of sniff them out to make sure it's a legitimate person, that kind of thing. Because, most people, if they're legit, they'll be more than happy and excited about getting that bike or bike frame, and they'll be more than happy to interact versus like, oh, what are you talking to me? That kind of thing. So, and another tip to note is watch out for erratic behavior right off the bat. If they're like acting too excited, like this one guy that sold the bike for me is like, oh, when is it going to ship? Oh, when is it? I'm just so excited. And then like ask them some questions, why and whatever. And if it doesn't really match up, because they probably are not avid cyclists, they're just thieves. So in any case, you might be able to weed those out. In any case, yeah. So off season, winter, yeah. So there's an opportunity to move some of your products out of your garage, get some new pieces to go into your stable of bikes, or upgrading my daughter, for example, to a 24-inch wheel. I'm looking for one of those, or a small 26. She's just growing like a weed. So those are the things that a consumer look at as state, as in pricing and so forth. You might want to buy an extra couple tubes, consumables, bar tape, whatever. You can find it on sale. Black Friday is around the corner. Believe it or not, I know you're like, that's November. For us in business, that's when we start planning all that crap to, prepare for Black Friday, especially big corporates. I mean, they're already having, their season's already been launched for their campaigns and so forth. So for bigger companies, they're already looking into the off-season holidays for marketing and so forth. If you're in a bigger shop and have the opportunity, that's great. Unfortunately, I'm sure you're probably scaled back. So a lot of people are working harder and not having as much time. So everything you can do to be proactive to set your shop to success in the off-season, the better. Okay, let's shift gears. Let's talk about bike shops, small and medium size, and mostly not corporate, individually owned, small and smaller chain. They could be like Will and Sprocket. They have 7, 8. Oh, they have 10 or 15 stores now, something like that. Any case, a lot of them are doing a lot of planning. They're kind of dusting off, getting their little vacations or whatever, getting the kids back to school. They all have lives too, outside of their own shops and that kind of thing. But it's really a good reminder. And if I could just jar one of you or two of you and go, hey, I need to kind of be thinking about this. Start asking those questions amongst your staff and yourself. What things could be improved upon that I would like to work on to be more efficient, more productive? What things have worked? What things that may work better for me going to the next season? Either scaling back on preseason orders, not seeing that rep every week, whatever that case may be. Those are the things you need to be kind of thinking about. So there's a laundry list. And if you're a bigger shop, you've probably gone through all the song and dance and you understand what needs to be done and you've already got a good feel of what the industry is going. But I want to talk to the shops that have opened up in the last 5 years. You haven't had a normal freaking year yet. Nothing is normal for you. It's like you don't have any consistency of what do I do now? Go Grava. Shout out to you guys. He had a great little video. He actually talked about me, about burnout. He has a great little video on burnout. I showed it in a community part of my post on my YouTube channel. Also, I think I did on Facebook. But in any case, good cat's there. He's in his like second year. So, and he's loving it, but he's putting a lot of time into it. It's like, okay, you've gotten 2 years in, and you've gotten 6 successes, and this goes to anybody within the last 5 years. You're going to need to research and look out and keep an ear out for opportunities for other things that may work for your shop and do some tests. Now, while there's still some season left to test it. Okay, you haven't done wax chains yet? That's a prime example. Try some wax chains. Either buy them pre-waxed or wax them yourself. If you haven't started waxing yet, I got a couple of videos that might help you get the idea of how to wax, how to charge, that kind of thing. It's become a big game changer for me for my service part of it. I do resell pre-wax chains, but that's kind of whatever. It's not that great. It does okay. Vital Chains is the one to go if you're looking for pre-wax chains. That's all he does. For me, it's just, it added another layer of more work for me. But for the service part of it, if you have a little waxer like I do, like right behind me, you can get the Silco one. That's fine if you want to pay that. Or there's a couple other ones that are a little less expensive. I have a video that shows you this one here, which is a waxer from waxing your bits from, in any case, waxing hair off your body. This is a 2-pot system, not too terribly expensive. Then you can use the Silco brands or whatever. There's a lot of different philosophies. There's a few. I highly suggest watch Zero Friction. Down in, I think he's in Australia. He does a lot of chain testing, wax testing. So a few of his videos will give you a little bit of insight on those kinds of properties and so forth. That'll help you. I'm using waxing channel. This could be used for any other thing. But if you still have a little bit of seasoning left and you want to start testing some of these, see if it's price point correct for your market or whatever the case may be, this is the opportunity to do it at the tail end. Then you can build on it and be ready for it when the season hits and promote it correctly when the season hits next season and get kind of the proper philosophy. This time of year, things slow down-ish, but you're still pretty busy in service. People still need work done, but they're a little less intense about it. Therefore, they're willing to leave their bike for a little bit longer time or try other things. So, those particular things you can test on a small micro level, just like I'm going to do chain waxing as an option for new chains. I'd suggest that versus used because you got extra cleaning and so forth. And you're waxing a chain, it might be pre-stretched to a point where it should be replaced anyway. I'd probably just start with just a new chain wax option. Our buddies down in Las Vegas, Swanee Cycles, they took it to the next level. A lot of their avid cyclists like the wax chain. They do buy multiple ones. They'll store them for them at the shop, so when they bring their bike in, they can swap them out. That's an opportunity as the next layer, that kind of thing. So those things you can build upon. We can have those conversations too, later on as well. It's like, hey, you want to talk more about that? We'll bring it into Shop Talk Tuesday of those specific finite details of doing that particular process. What I'm trying to convey today is like that's an opportunity that you can do a service. And obviously right now for us in the States, service is one opportunity where we actually can make an income right now, because bike sales are definitely softened for some, and the bike market is just too inconsistent for us to rely, but we need definitely rely on income to pay our employees and pay our bills and all that. So keeping in mind, if you take an opportunity of taking little service fees and add it to you don't have to do a huge thing or a total revamp and add packages and so forth. But if you do a la carte, a few pieces here and there, that could definitely bolster your income basically on those ticket items, increase it, and then it might help offset some other pieces of your aspect of your business, depending how service heavy your shop is. So yes, that's one perspective. And okay, sales. On the flip side of that, what are you going to bring in for products? I would suggest really hit home with what's always been working in your market. If you're a newer shop, like I was mentioning, you don't know what the hell is in your market. I mean, you may have some general ideas and testing, that kind of thing. And I'm not telling you to go buy a whole bunch of $10,000 bikes and throw them on your floor. Oh, hell no. I'm telling you, maybe ask those questions. Your avid cyclists that are coming in your shop, they've been riding longer than you've had a shop, and kind of figure out it. Also reach out to those clubs, what events and so forth, and also start laying out the groundwork for next year's events, being part of those community pieces, which will really help you long term for sure. That being said, I did the MS 150 this year, then I had a couple follow-up MS related events, and that really kept me busy, and it really helped my business over the years as well. I've seen a lot of shops start to take advantage of that. Even corporate stores are diving into that, the truck and specialize more locally. The corporate stores have started getting into those more local events because they know it's an opportunity to get those customers into their stores to help get their numbers up. And those people that are riding those particular events, sometimes they're ones that are looking for those nicer bikes, that kind of thing. So in any case, there's a lot of opportunities for bike shops to improve upon what they're doing. And that's always the case. And looking at your sales floor, what inventory you can bring in that's bread and butter, tubes, tires, bar wrap, things you can upsell from the service department as well as customers coming in. Clothing might not be it. Clothing might have a lot of sales right now because I have a feeling the clothing market for cycling, as in all clothing markets are having a hard time. Bottom line. Possibly if you're a shop, if you're bringing in clothing and you don't want to bring in the whole brands from S or T or G or whoever that has absurd amount of preseason orders and so forth, I'll give you a little story. There's a shop in Michigan. I forget the name of it. I think it was in Brighton, Michigan. And he will not buy any product from anybody for clothing that does not have his branding on it, logos and so forth. You can do that through Primal Wear, which is neighbors to me down south in Denver. They do have programs to do clothing, but you have to buy it. And then, whatever, they'll work with you with numbers and so forth, I'm sure. But I came across a company, Jackaroo, and that is a build-on-demand platform. So you can buy pieces to put in your store, but also your customer can buy those particular pieces in different styles and what have you. So you don't have to carry everything, and they have the opportunity to go and buy like the caps and certain different sizes, shorts or whatever, and get your branding on it through your Jackaroo store. Build on demand. And it takes a little bit longer to get in, of course, 2 or 3 weeks, but most cyclists know that. And a lot of them are already buying from companies like that anyway. That's an opportunity for you to be able to brand your own clothing within your own store. So that's something that, and also what you don't carry and you're selling online, you get a cut. So it's not like it's passive income. Let's put it that way. And we're going to talk about passive income a lot here in a little bit for a lot of you shops that are smaller and just toying with ideas of certain things other than working on bikes. And I can tell you there's been a very huge success story in the YouTube world, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, talk about brands. Here's another brand. Check out Another brand. It was brought to you by Medem Bikes, where you can find bicycles that won't break the bank. Great brands like Univega and Vin Diesel, but give you a good quality, safe ride to be able to do those extended rides and get into cycling. You'll find a link below with added savings. Extend that adventure starting now. So Medem is actually owned by Kent International. Kent International is a lot of bikes that I think they build the Ozark Trail brand that goes into Walmarts and Targets, as well as they had some other. They're kind of like a smaller version of Pond Holdings, where they have a lot of different brands underneath them. Not nearly as big. Pond Holdings is absorbently huge. They do cars and stuff too. But that's an opportunity there of those particular lower price points. You can probably work with them directly if you wanted to bring some of those lower price point bikes into your store or in your market. And that kind of thing. Yeah, I know you're probably like, oh, why do I want to put department store style bikes in my shop or what have you? Well, it depends on your market. If your market is that's all they're buying, well, you better be part of it or get out of the way. And get out of the way may be meaning you just go out of business. So because the market has just gotten so freaking weird. And a lot of you that are smaller probably already adapted to a lot of pieces of this in the last 2 years, because we realized in a hot minute, service is huge. E-bikes is another perspective we need to really dive into. Go Guava or Grava on the East Coast, they thought there would be like a mountain bike shop. No, they're now a e-bike scooter fixing machine. And they're busy as busy can be, and they're doing great, as long as you're not a stick in the mud of what you want to sell. There's some people and some shop owners that are like really been poo-poo caca and on all this other online direct-to-consumer lines, starting with Canyon or, well, Performance back in the day. You got to embrace it. You got to figure out how to leverage that. How is it going to work for you? How do you get that to, how do you make money off of that? Service department. On a lot of the cases, I mean, put it this way, REI saw this in the tea leaves. They became official, even though they've been doing it for a long time, Canyon service warranty shop. I'm not telling you to be a warranty shop. I'm telling you to be a little bit more open-minded, as well. I've included a new bike package. It's kind of a tune, but not. It's enhance your ride package for a new bike. What is the missing pieces of a consumer that buys a bike online that comes straight to their house? If they're, they can put it together. Some of them are not put together really well. Medem bikes, for example, they're okay, but they still need a little more expertise to build that bike up to make sure it's safe. That's always been the underlining with any of those particular bikes. And over the years, they've improved that process to a point where Canyon has built a whole business around it. Direct to consumer, pull out the bikes, tighten up a couple of screws, boom, you're on the road. What are they missing? Anybody? Where are they missing when they're buying a bike from online? Fit. I mean, they could adjust a little bit, but they'll read a little bit. But it's really nice to have somebody to do little minor adjustments, seat height, seat tilt, bars, whatever. Not really upselling, just a little bit of a fit, like that static fit goes a long ways. That's what's missing. That's one of them. What's another thing? Hey, wax chains is a big thing. Waxing chains from the brand new, because if you know it or don't know, all that chain grease that comes from the package from brand new chains, even on bikes, is a sticky stuff. And it's designed to keep the chain from rusting, not high performance whatsoever. It works okay. But if you want to use a performance lube, drip or wax alike, you got to strip that stuff off and put on that new lube. Either it's a finish line product that cakes up, or Pro Gold that looks okay, or Diamante that's kind of like a plastic wax-ish, or you go with a full wax system. This gives you an opportunity to elevate their shifting, their drivetrain, longevity of the parts, holds up well. So you got an opportunity like, hey, advertise, you got a brand new bike, got to your house. Do you want to make sure it's fit correctly and safe to ride, adjusted? Give us a call. We have a package for that. Also, we have a wax chain process to go with that. The other product that I added to that, because I'm really into it, is detailing, if I'm pointing correctly. Polish and living. Okay, like a brand new car, right? If anybody has a brand new car or boat or RV or whatever that's into ceramic coating, which is now the latest Kool-Aid for the car industry detailing, is ceramic coating. Well, they're already heard about it, most likely, and that could be carried over to their new 5, 10,000, whatever bike they bought from Canyon Performance. Oh wait, they're not around. You know, Metam, Jensen's USA, Cannondale, Trek Direct, Specialized Direct, whoever. You can do a ceramic coating a lot easier when it's brand new paint. Basically, it's a clean, maybe a little bit of buffing, put a rubbing alcohol on it, clean it off, do a couple stack layer of ceramic coating, charge $50, $100 for it. Because if you're there taking the wheels off, waxing their chain, you're able to get into all those little nicks and crannies and parts to ceramic coat their frame. So my package, for example, is a static fit, wax chain, and ceramic coating your new ride. Got a new ride? You want to have it double checked? What does this really mean? You can almost charge it for almost next to nothing. Why are you doing this? You're introducing that customer that bought the bike direct to you. Not to the Trek store or the Specialized store or the Mike's Bikes, which is owned by Canyon store. You're introducing to you, the shop. So anything you grab, basically you're grabbing those sales, and they may need a bottle cage or a computer or a Garmin mount or something. And then if they have a pleasant experience at your shop and you take care of them on their new ride without any judgment, that is the hard part for a lot of us. You got to take that judgment and fake it. because a lot of us have judgment. We've had judgment over the years. Like, well, you bringing that piece in my store and you want me to do what? And you bought it from where? I mean, there's a lot of attitude. You got to kill it. Nip it. Top down. You hear any of your staff members saying anything and even whispering in the back room, you got to nip it, because that will actually trickle out onto the sales floor and to your customers. We need every one of our customers to like us. Think we're like rock stars, because one bad review right now will almost cripple you going into the next season, because all these people, they're talking to each other, either within group rides, online. You just need to button that down hardcore. So it is a great golden opportunity to take advantage of those online sales, even though you're not the one doing the online sales, as in the service portion of it, introducing those customers into your market. You can do email blasts like, hey, advertisements, whatever platforms, like, hey, you got yourself a new Canyon? We've heard about these recalls. We'd be more than happy to take a look at it. Hell, the Shimano recall on 11 speeds. Anybody has one of those? I keep popping that. Not that I do any of those, I'm not a Shimano certified, but I want to make sure my customers are aware of that. And if I need to, I'll go to my Shimano local dealer. If while I'm working on the bike, I'll take it to the crankset and they're like, hey, check this out. And I've had that happen. They come back like, oh, they're fine, or I've had a couple replaced. In any case, you're going that extra mile. So that there eludes the ability to give that warm hug to those customers and so forth and going forward. And if you're doing this in your shop already, or if you have some gold nuggets that you've been applying and it's been working in your season, put them in the comments below, put them in the chat, let others, this is a safe space. I mean, let others know. It may work for me, it may not work for me. I'm more of a niche shop, meaning I'm just more specific, and I find enough business to keep me busy on my specific niche. Actually, I need to scale down even more, but I'm afraid to, because I don't want to lose any missed opportunities, or if things change again, I'm ready for it. So you got to be the same. All right, yeah, thanks for chiming in, Randy. Oh, I'm right. Oh man, I thought I was just talking to myself. I work on almost everything, Walmart, Academy, whatever. Parker Bikes, we're a small shop. We had a Walmart down the street. A majority of the bikes that came in the shop, needed just some adjustments for those kids. That's all they got, right? Come on. Like, be a human. Let's bring that human quality. If you bring more of that human quality in your shop and take care of those, the better for everyone, right? It's good, great for everyone. So there are lose opportunities. So you got, and there's a laundry list of opportunities. And please, if you have shops, ping some of those found successes. A lot of people have shifted to working on e-bikes or working on e-scooters, or did some wax chains or started doing some detailing, and how that applies. People are kind of scared about that. It's like it's basically a car paint on bikes. You just put a coating on it and it makes it look really freaking nice. And it gives them that added protection, and also makes it easier to clean. It behooves you as a mechanic to make it easier for you to clean later. And then you can sell them another bottle of refresher ceramic coating. It's like if you work out a deal through Lithium, you can get a dealer agreement, make 40 points on a bottle of Color Crush that goes with their ceramic coating that they did, and make a little bit of money. There's opportunities there, or get a coupon code and get a direct ship, and you get a 15 or 10% opportunity, passive income. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities here in the trailer park. I'm sorry, old punk rocker. I'm trying to reference a Dead Milkman song, which is very inappropriate nowadays because it's not right. But okay, ceramic coatings and so forth. I use Adams polishes because they're local to me. They've been known, and also was used on a vehicle of mine that was fixing some damage. And the detailer's like, hey, I know you do bikes. Here, try some. And gave me some samples. It worked pretty good. I honed my skills down a little bit. And then added, Lithium reached out and so forth. Just watch this. Here we have a Easton carbon fork with a classic Jameis steel Reynolds 631 frame that's been basically untouched for a good part of a decade. We're going to do some serious detailing to see if we get this frame and fork to pop. By using these products from Adams, as well as Lithium Ceramic Slam with a 2-stack, 3-stack layering, let's see what this is going to look like. First, we clean off all dirt and grime with all surface cleaner. Then we take the scratch and swirl with our Dremel pad to clean areas with scratches like this. Then we apply the compound. Then we apply the Adams polish. Once we get the desired polished finish that we're looking for, then we apply the ceramic coating. Coat the frame once and twice and let it sit for 4 hours, and check out this miraculous shine after the knockdown of the second stack. Here we have it, the final results of 2-stacked lithium ceramic coating. So looking at the deep candy-like coating of the clear coat that brought this frame back to life and to its original or better and new condition. I do this to all my frames that I resell. So yeah, check it out. So I'm sorry for a little bit longer plug there on that, but I mean, that's opportunity where you don't have to do all those steps in the shop. If you just want to do the ceramic coating on new frames, fine. That's just, you don't have to do any of the polishing, detailing. And yeah, you want to be careful on when you're doing the scratch and swirl type stuff. You don't want to cut into the paint and so forth. Start line polite, test some frames on some busted up frames in your back. I'm sure you have a set. I have a freaking Le Mans that turned out to be a dud right here. And, have your guys, try different paints and so forth if you want to do that. That's a great off season. But the thing is, you don't have to do it in the polishing portion of it per se if you want to just do ceramic coating on new paint, like on either the bikes you sell or as an option for those who are bringing in a bike that they just got. So that's an opportunity. And it's so wild west right now. You can charge whatever you want to charge you think it would fit in your market. I don't charge a lot because I use a lot of those particular techniques and so forth as video content for me from a YouTube channel and various other places. So for me, it's kind of, it just adds more content and then I make some off of that per se, off of those evergreen and detail. And what that does as well, this will blow your mind. The YouTube experience has actually generated over half of my service. Should I repeat that again? My YouTube experience for the last 2 years has driven over half of my business for service and partial sales. I've had people buy stuff on eBay go, hey, I watch your channel. So it's an investment. Yeah, I put a lot into it. Do I see it right off the bat through monetization and so forth? No, but long term I have. And it's benefited me and it makes me feel good because I basically have fans of my channel as well what I do, and I must be doing something right to show that I'm doing enough high level detail of working on bikes, waxing chains, detailing, all these fun extra things that I've are new to me because I've been in the industry for 35 years, right? So I'm looking for something that's, something to, keep it fresh, not always changing chains and flats and dealing with internal routing and, all the things that we mechanics don't like doing and don't afraid to not say it, but that's why you pay us to do it because it sucks. It's hard. And it takes a little time. And having a, shop lab-like environment, not the detail and so forth, but like hydraulic lines and all that hot mess that the industry has done to us in the last 10 years for the new product. Therefore, finding something a little bit easier is a little bit nicer and a little bit funner to do. And actually keeps you, revived. And also, if you're a bigger shop and if you have people, it's like, ask them what kind of things that would bring in as a service or get rid of as a service, you think or whatever, to keep your staff motivated going forward and so forth. And there's a lot of different things. And used markets really helped a lot of shops out massively, where a lot of shops, when I had conversations with them when I worked at Retail Toolkit, using used, and I'm like, I started doing used, I'm like, hey, you might want to think about doing used. They gave me nah, that's just too much work. We don't want to ship. That's just, blah, we're making enough money selling high-end new bikes and so forth. Guess what the hell they're doing now? They're selling a lot of used. They're having big used events, trading events, all those things. They realize it's where really the money is coming in and actually leveraging. And I've mentioned this before in like older videos, but if you're a smaller shop and you're having a hard time retaining some of those mechanics, you give mechanics an opportunity for those trade-ins. You can do a trading event, right? Okay, you bring in all these bikes from your customers' garages and stuff that they're just like, basically are giving them to you for really pennies on a dollar. Really cheap because they just want to, obviously the trade-in programs are designed for that. It's like, bringing in a lower price point. You get in these bikes. You keep the bikes for your store that are matching brands. So if you're a Trek dealer, keep the Treks or very similar, whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to be exact, but you want to have a Trek right next to a Trek, a used versus new, because that used is going to help that customer transition to the new. Because if that one Trek experience, and how many of you out there, chime in and say me, like, I bought a used bike, and now I'm brand loyal to that bike that I purchased used. I mean, I've seen it so many times. Like, individuals would be like, yeah, I bought this bike, I bought a Trek, and then they're a Trek fan from there on out. So, okay, as a shop, what I'm getting back to is you get a used Trex go through used, new Trex or whatever the brands. What are you going to do with all those other ones? Well, as a business, you can just dump them on eBay or whatever. So they're not in the front of your store. They're being sold out of the back, being shipped out. And like I just alluded to earlier, like Bike Flights will really help you on that to get you the prices you need. And believe me, wheels, $35. Wheel sets, $50. Frames, 50. 100. No, sorry. Frames are 100 and full bikes are 150. That's what I charge as an add-on. And I've been selling bikes, frames, and wheels, no problem. So you can get most of your costs on the shipping taken care of through Bike Flights or whatever, through eBay if you want to go through them. And then you have a little bit extra money to cover for supplies. This is going to be tape and other junk. But if you're a bike shop, you're getting bike boxes in with all the packing material and the materials right there. All you need to do is some tape and a little bit of, I use liquid nail. It's easy, it's cheap. Swap that over the bike box. Shit's not going to fall apart. But therefore, you have an opportunity of moving those bikes that are not the ones you really want out. And you just give store credit to those customers for those trade-ins. So you just basically bolstered your account with bikes inventory. And here's the thing. You can sell used bikes and parts all year round. There's not a season for it. Here in the States, we have southern states that are busier than hell, talking about in the wintertime, supposedly colder months for most of us, but Arizona, South Cal, Phoenix is huge. I sold a ton of stuff to Texas, Florida, all those states are buying stuff in season in December, in January, February. Believe me, extra couple $100 in January, I'm good. It's like things are great. So there's an opportunity doing those trade events. You can do in-season trade-in events. Whenever. There's no bad time to do one. Let's just put it that way. You can do it. So, okay, you keep the bikes go on the floor, and you can still list them if you want to sell online. And obviously, you don't have any contractual for a brand because it's a used bike. So you're not going to be pissing off any vendor because you're selling your used product online. Now it gives you an online presence and so forth. This is where it gets really good. So you saw my eBay channel, right? Or not eBay. Yeah, my eBay shop. There's some stores that have been doing this for a long time. They have thousands of products used. They built up over the decades and that they're selling. And it's a number, it's just like business 101. It's a volume numbers thing. I mean, you'll make more on some, a little less on others, may get burned here, but offset and so forth, numbers game. But you're doing it all online and shipping. Maybe sell some locally, but you're able to manipulate that and able to sell that. And all that non-branded that goes to your store can go through the back door. Or if you want to retain some of your good mechanics, you can get an opportunity to tell them like, oh, you can buy this, what I paid for, or what I got store credit for, or maybe a little above, whatever, for transactional fees. Then they can take the bike and you say, you can use their shop, but it's not on clock. You can tear the bike down, clean the parts, picture it up, list it. So basically you're giving them an opportunity to take a bike like this that you roughly paid possibly, let's say $200 for as a trade-in. They can take that bike, they can make $200 off of just the frame itself. And if they're good, they can make another $200-300 on the parts. So basically you're giving them an opportunity to make their own bonus in a sense. Is that competing against you? No, because everybody else is freaking doing it. It's just adding. I mean, there's such a huge market for it and all that. So in any case, that's one of those gold nuggets I've always mentioned before. It's like you can loop your staff into it. And maybe it's just only those full-time, year-round, or if you worked here a certain amount of time as bonus. And that way you can help them make some extra income in the off season as well, when you're slower and you have to cut hours back, that kind of thing. I worked in several shops where they had to cut like half their staff in the off season. It sucked because you knew only 4 months later, you're going to be hiring again for the season. And a lot of times they're not coming back because you just let them go. So, you know, there's opportunities there. There's opportunities to do the used market. There's opportunities using parts, selling parts and so forth and all of that. So you can use that service, right? Like the service portion of this is really what's working right now. It's working for me really well. It's working for a lot of shops, keeping them going. When most of their units of sales were all new, now it's shifted to used. It's helping them at least not be so under, keeping the lights on, that kind of thing. So it's done a lot for a lot of shops going forward for sure. And that's one of those opportunities. Okay, so I talked a lot about the service, preparing, thinking about ideas, doing ideas, implementing them before the season's over so you can at least test it. You don't have to do a huge trade-in event, just do something micro. You don't have to do the full detailing or a full waxing experience, but you know, you might want to. And those are opportunities that are just recent in the industry, in the market, that really will help you out. So if you're a new shop and you're starting to do this, and your old shops around that are not like sticking muds are not doing it, you're the one that's up and fresh and coming and new. You want to be the fresh shop in the sense of, we know what the hell we're doing. This is what we're doing. They're hearing it. They're seeing it. They want it done. Case in point, Silco made a deal with Specialized in-cycle stores or corporate stores to be the certified Silco whatever. You don't even have to use Silco wax if you want. You can use various other brands that are out there or make your own if you wanted. Basically, it's paraffin wax with a little bit of graphite. I made a blend with half and half of paraffin wax with beeswax and a little bit of graphite. That seemed to work really well. Didn't have a test or anything, but it was just a fun little side project. I have it on a couple of my own bikes. It's held up for 2 years. I mean, there's nothing long range bikes, but in any case, but that's where it goes to that zero friction guy that does the testing and so forth. He just did a run on just straight wax, candle wax, outperformed all the drip lubes that are petroleum based or Teflon based. So, I mean, you can take it some of it with a grain of salt, but I mean, come on. I mean, it's got to be some truth to it in any case. But anyway, that's where, opportunities for shops. I hope you guys are doing well. I know you're it's in season, you're busy, the dollars are coming in, but don't forget they're just around the corner that the dollars are not coming in. And you're going to be like, shit, I can't pay the electric bill, or I got to let Timmy go, or it's not going to, we got to not feed Lassie or Chop Dog anymore, whatever. It's like you don't want to have those horrible decisions. You want to be prepared for them, especially your newer shops. Even the glory, if you're not squirreling away some money to set aside or some opportunity to go in the off season, or knowing how the off season is going to work for you to be able to sustain and pay those bills. That's why I don't freaking have a brick and mortar store anymore, because my overhead is really low. And that's on purpose. And I thought about doing it again. Then I said to myself, are you stupid? I mean, you're doing just as much volume here as you could in a brick and mortar location, and you're paying somebody else rent. The only opportunity, and this has a lot of weight to it, and some of your smaller shops are like, oh, we're doing okay. What's the next step? Buy a building. Doesn't matter where it is, how small it is, start somewhere that you own. Because renting, it'll eventually kill your business. Unless you're like super savvy on books. Because that's the only way you can really, when you own your own building, which basically that becomes a fixed cost, not a variable that changes with every contract. So that's what burned us, Parker Bikes. We expanded when we shouldn't have, and we paying more because every 3 years or 4 years, whatever it was for the cycle, we were hoping to do better, and we fell flat on the season, and my dad came down with cancer, and it was a shit show. It didn't work well. So buy your own building. If we would have bought our own building back then, made the shift, even before that, we were like on our 4th contract cycle. maybe the 5th, I can't remember. But if we would have just like within the second one go, oh, we need to like get a building, we should have done that. We'd be in business today still, guarantee it. Or at least had property. Any case, I mean, so therefore you can leverage. That's what your goal should be as any business owner is owning your own building, because that thing is value huge. And one of the owners that I worked for, he said the bike business never made him any money. It's all the real estate that he bought. And he owned all the buildings that the stores were in addition to half of the town, Fort Collins. And anybody who's local knows who the hell I'm talking about for sure. He still owns the buildings that he's renting to specialized corporate. So instead of him paying them, now they're paying him or something like that. Anyway, so yeah, don't overstock. Keep it lean. Only get what you need to get. That's always been kind of the case. Leverage those, I mean, QBP, BTI, J&B importers, Jensen's USA that sells to consumers, 365 Cycles, which uses QBP's warehouses. Their businesses that get shit in the United States to fill their warehouses. It's going to be there. Because if it's not, they're not there. So they're going to have the inventory. You don't need to stock it in your stores anymore as much. Like going back to pre-COVID, we were like, we just only bought what we need and sell through, and we could, within a week get it in. So go there. So take it with that, a grain of salt. Don't overstock. But it all means, if you know you sell 400 of a 9-speed chains in the season, and somebody's selling it like dirt cheap, then you can, obviously, you're going to do that. That kind of thing. So, case in point. So there's a lot of opportunities there, for sure. And if you're admiring this beautiful Klein, if it's changed colors on it, it's a blue-green. I just bought this bike just for the color. I mean, I got it at a really good cheap price, and it hardly has been used. So there's a lot of couple check boxes, but I really wanted to feature. I'll be featuring this in a series of videos of detailing and cleaning, and that color is going to just make it amazing. And if that doesn't sell you to start detailing your bikes at your shop, nothing will. But in any case, that's an opportunity for me on that. But anyway, so here I'm going to go into the last part of this segment is, what am I doing? Half my business is not tune-ups or selling bike parts. Is that kind of blowing your mind a little bit? You're like, you're selling bikes? No, it's not selling. Well, it kind of selling. It's called passive income. And it's something that I found that for me, for a one-man band in a bike shop garage, there's only so much time in a day I can work on bikes, detail frames, wax pre-wax chains, all the stuff, and dealing with customers and shipping stuff. There's only so much I can do. Passive income. So there's a couple opportunities. This is nothing new. This is a great opportunity for any of you individuals. And this applies to the avid cyclists. This applies to somebody just starting riding, family rides, goes on vacations. Anybody that has an Instagram account or a YouTube channel or Facebook page that they like to share their passion. And I have a couple buddies, I'm like, I want to beat them with a dumpstick. Like, you travel the world in the off season because you're teachers, but you love cross-country riding. Take more videos and post the shit. I mean, you wrote a book about it, and if you're watching this, you know who you are. There's opportunities to work off of that. Okay, so there's going to be a couple things. And guess what? You just saw my passive income that I advertised trickled in through this video. Metam Bikes. Drawing a blank. Jensen's USA. Bike Flights. Lithium. auto care products, eBay, Amazon alike. So if you like my channel and if you want to support me, go through my links that are listed in the description below and go shopping. You don't have to buy anything that I'm specifically, this is the beauty of these particular passive incomes, especially with Amazon. You don't get paid a lot, but let's put it this way. If you've not heard of this, this is something you can leverage. This is how you compete against direct-to-consumer sales. You got yourself a website, you're shipping stuff, you're posting stuff on your social medias and so forth. If you get enough social media presence, and I don't have to be monetized to get an Amazon affiliate. I mean, I know you're like, well, it's kind of like getting in bed with the devil, but it's there and it works. And this is a proof of concept I've been working on for 1.5 years. And honestly, everything I do in the shop is a proof of concept for you that's watching this could take advantage of. And I'm more than happy to share that information without a cost. The cost is, or actually, how I get paid is through those who decide to check out a tool that I feature, click on the Amazon link, watch the video, click on the Amazon link. They decide not to get the tool, but they get the rest of their groceries for that week or their kids' back to school stuff on that one cookie trail transaction. And I know a lot of you are not software people, but there's also there's a cookie trail from that particular link that stays live for 20 or 48 hours or something like that. Therefore, you can wrap up those transactions, go to your credit to your account. So in other words, it's not a lot, but you get somebody that buys a couple very expensive winter jackets or something, anything off of Amazon, there's a percentage, and that can add up. And guess what? It's passive. Once you set that video, once you set those links, it's done. You don't have to, you may maintain them and so forth if you want. So this is what I did, and this is my secret sauce. I use my website as the main hub for all that. So the direct link, go to my approved partner page on my website. You'll see all my affiliate links, companies I work with that I do get a kickback. So if you're looking for a tool that you're going to buy from Jensen's, please go through there and I'll get a commission, and that helps support me do this and share more information and talk about the industry and all that stuff. It does, like that. That's through a program called Avidlink, which has several companies. You have to be big enough channel to do that. But there's several companies within that. Jensen's one, Buy Flights is another, and several other companies. You'll see them on that list that I'll get a little kicks. Okay, the bad part of that is apparently when they use a coupon code, which pretty much every one of those sites, you go on that page, click here for 10% off, that bumps your affiliate connection. So you don't get the affiliates off of that. So Avidlink hasn't been as successful as I would hope it to be, but Amazon has. Those work really well. It does get a pretty decent, I'm not making tons. It's still just a proof of concept. I'm making like maybe $40 here, something like that a month, nothing too big, but it's a proof of concept. If it builds and steamrolls is enough that you can get a pretty substantial kick off of that. I mean, you can do YouTube videos and get paid through the AdSense through that, sure. And if you have a big enough video, you can make some pretty decent money. I made like $1,300 once in a month because a video took off and people listened to me apparently, or some didn't, which is fine. But there's an opportunity there. And is it consistent? No. But I can tell you the consistency has gotten to a point where I know where there's a baseline now. And that's adding and growing as you get more subscribers through YouTube. Then you have these other money pots, t-shirts from Spreadshirt. There's a Spreadshirt shelf underneath. Click a t-shirt you like to buy, get in your size. I get maybe like $4 or $5 or something like that, whatever coffee cup or t-shirt sold. That's one avenue, which you can do yourself as a bike shop. Branding, Spreadshot, Etsy, funny little sayings. do something you're going to die, but do something you choose to do to die doing. There's a sign right there. But it's like those little things. Jackaroo. I haven't started that yet, but that's another one I'm going to do is branding. You buy a guy a t-shirt or jersey, shorts, whatever. I get a little kick. Your shop gets a little kick. You see, if they're not, if they're buying it off of Amazon, why don't you get a little cut of that? That's what I'm just saying. They're buying on eBay. If you get a big enough affiliate, you can do, if you have a Instagram account that you have so many, people following you or whatever, you get an eBay affiliate and you get a little percentage there. I'm started testing that, and then you can, make it capitalize on that too. So the thing is as a bike shop and being a bike shop has changed so much that if you're not getting enough business year round, you got to figure out something to do in the off season. Well, back in the day, we did skis and snowboard rentals and that kind of thing, winter stuff. What if you can do like social media stuff? Take all the videos you do this summer, work through them, make a list, get some affiliate links, get a little extra passive income. This is nothing new, people. This is something you can leverage as a shop to your advantage. So it makes you feel less pissed off when people are buying stuff online instead of your store. Some of those, I think my sound may went out a little bit. Sorry. Some of my affiliate pieces, think about it, right? It's like, what do you really, okay, you direct somebody to Jensen's. You don't want to sell online as a bike shop. You're just too busy. You're too busy for that. You're not going to do that. You don't want to do that. But if you do a affiliate link through Jensen's, for example, they sell all the chains and lubes and all the cables and housing and all that stuff. You get an affiliate with them. You're making 3% off of something, right? Off a sale that you probably were not going to get anyway. Then maybe get something extra on top of that kind of deal. That'll definitely help your bottom line. So it's like, if you're not going to buy from me, here, buy from these people, and maybe you'll get some little extra kickback, that kind of thing. There alludes that what I'm using as eBay as a leverage is kind of like an opportunity to sell parts on bikes I listed that I sold. Case in point, a Klein race, a dep race. As LX crankset and exterior derailleur, 9-speed. I know this stuff like the back of my hand. I almost can remember the part number, that's stamped on the FC-M60, M65, whatever it is, right? I can tell you the road bike ones. I just, pretty easy. So the thing is like, yeah, I list that. And I've had people on my old listings that have sold the bike like 2 years ago. Like, oh, do you know what the part number or the part is for the headset on this one? I have the same bike. Those are the kind of emails I get sometimes. And I go down the rabbit hole, dig it up. What if I list that bike with an option to link to a search for eBay? Well, you can find these cranksets on eBay. Here's the search term for it, and go through there. You can find that crankset, even though I may not have it. And if I do, you'll see it listed on eBay, and if it's not the right size you're looking for, whatever, you can get something else, or you can buy mine. But guess what? I'm getting a little percentage off of that crumb trail on a posting that already did its transaction 2 years ago. So if those bikes that I did refurbish and sold 2 years ago are still listed on my website, still getting SEO hits, I could have an opportunity to either maybe sell a t-shirt, some parts that are new from Jensen's, or maybe some parts off of eBay. Have I blown my mind yet? Have you blown your mind yet? I'm just at the tip of the iceberg on this and started diving into it. Yes, it takes a lot of time to build up. But then again, test it in small increments and see if it's right for you. From waxing chains to detailing frames to adding services for new bikes that people bought online. They're riders, they're part of the clubs, they need help. I'll tell you what, one person with a Canyon, you take care to the nines that comes into your shop, and you give them a static fit, you get them a nice wax chain, adjustments, something else, and make them feel good, and they feel comfortable with a transaction that they bought online and bringing it to your shop, and you have zero, if not more of a warm hug, guess who they're going to tell every time somebody rides by with also another Canyon? Those people talk on the trail all the time. Oh, yeah. And I'm sure a lot of them are like, oh, don't go to this shop because they're mad I brought this bike into their store. Granted, you might be one of those individuals. Save your hate for later, because you got to understand, you got to really open up to this new old environment. We were fighting this tooth and nail in the 90s when Performance, Nash Bar, and Supergo were like making all of our lives miserable. You know, now we have a golden opportunity to capitalize on it and work with it. They are, regardless where they buy their product, are part of your cycling community. It's either you, as a shop, are either going to embrace them or you're going to alienate them. So you want to think about that, because those are customers that could be customers for life. The used market for me, I've gotten customers for life because they're like, they'll never buy new. They think it's completely ridiculous that bikes are like $5 or $10 grand. Like, that is dumb to them, and they don't see the value of it. They'll spend $4,000 or $5,000 on a used bike because that's just the mentality. So, you know, you got those individuals out there and that kind of thing. But I hope this kind of resonates, the opportunities that you can do, even as yourself. If you're just like a family member that has 6 kids and you're just like constantly doing rides, to, you know, experience those rides, get an affiliate from Amazon, make some videos on some products that you get from them, make a little extra money to help you out. Our neighbors are your neighbors, and you can too. You don't even have to have a bike shop. You don't have to have a shop at all. The Spreadshirt thing, my mother-in-law is using that. She uses it, I think, leverages it for Etsy. She has an autistic son that makes really funny phrases, weird, but that's how his mind works. And help her story. She has these T-shirts and she sells them, you know, on Etsy. So it's opportunity for all that kind of passive income for a lot of individuals, and especially when a lot of us are looking for anything to help out offset what everything else is costing more for, especially cycling. It is not cheap. You know, it is cheaper if you do it right, leveraging the used and what have you. But it's not a cheap sport, needless to say. So sport, but it is a very, very great sport, a great activity for a lot of us. Mental health, healthiness, physical experiences. People go destination riding all the time. They travel, then they rent bikes or bring one, and you can see and be a part of a lot of different communities where you travel to, and you really have better experiences or different experiences, just riding and the joy of riding. I mean, people have written books about this and talk about it. It's like, you know, I just want to remind you, those are opportunities for people that do that. And I went into the Specialized store yesterday, and they had like some ugly salmon road bikes. They're just ugly, but they're a rental fleet. And I asked them how much they charge. It seemed pretty pricey for a 24-hour. It was over $150 or something like that. And then, you know, it goes towards, you know, purchase of a bike or whatever if you wanted to go that route. But I'm like, well, if you're just visiting and want to just go for a ride, you know, $150 may not be too expensive. Because if you think about the cost of breaking down your bike and putting it on a plane, is double that already. So renting one is actually an experience, and inexpensively compared, and you get to experience a couple things. Well, a newer bike, you know, might be fun to try out. It's kind of like, you know, test driving a BMW or that kind of thing. It's newer. And then you get to experience, like Fort Collins, for example, in Loveland. We have all these bike paths, and you can spend 2 days just riding all the bike paths and not being on the same path twice. And you'll see a lot of part of Fort Collins and Loveland and the lakes and the farmland between and all that. And it'd be, a really good experience. And, if you're just visiting. So, for example, that's, if you're a shop, I'm sure you probably looked into renting bikes and that kind of thing. So corporate stores are leveraging that. I believe Trek corporate stores are doing the same thing. So in any case, that's where you're looking at a lot of those opportunities for a lot of shops. But let's talk about some of the headwinds. Let me see if I can pull this up. Hopefully you guys are still seeing me and hearing me. And this is one of those situations where, I'm a bike shop person. I've been in the industry for 35 years. I have opinions. Who's not going to have opinions for doing that for a longer period of time? And bicycle retailer has been, one of our coffee table, workbench news things we've had for decades. And several of my bigger videos, and apparently the YouTube algorithm thinks my talking about industry news is my niche, and what I make, works for them to put out content. So here it goes. We got like tariffs on steel going in that's being made for e-bikes and trainers and so forth. It's not like the high-end Reynolds steel tubing and so forth. But the thing is, reading the article, it's so muddled, not knowing, nobody really knows what, really. And is it on? Is it off? It's disruption. That's what it comes down to. So all these companies that deal with bringing in steel. So if you're a company trying to bring in steel to make bikes in the United States, you're getting cut off there even. So, it's not helping. Tom passed away. That's too bad. The other big news is like the Taiwan dollar amount. This is kind of interesting. And I'm not an economic person, economy, that kind of thing. I don't understand where dollar values sway. But apparently this, the stronger dollar has actually made it a less profit for a couple of companies in Taiwan. And you got to think about Taiwan. Merida specifically is a good one in the news because Merida owns about 35% of Specialized. And they also produce Specialized bikes. In addition to their own brand, Merida, which is sold not in the United States, but everywhere else. In addition to other brands, easily. They build a lot. They build brands, other brands. It's basically, if you're a bike company, you go over to Merida, you talk to them, I want you to build a bike. They'll basically build bikes. Grant, you have all control of the specs, the materials and all that, and it's your bike, style and everything, but it's built there and mass produced. And these companies have been bleeding over into other markets. And those other markets are, if I could find it, those are talking about the dollar yens. They're leveraging Cambodia and Vietnam. So we have bolstered over the years, or the markets have bolstered over the years, not just us specifically, but a good portion of United States consumer purchasing is taking Taiwan, built it up, that they're now finding other cheaper places other than their country to build products, as in Cambodia and Vietnam, where Specializes are being built in Vietnam, Treks are being built in Cambodia, a lot of them. Where the other article that I found that now Taiwan and Cambodia are surpassing the sales of China or something like that in bikes. That was very interesting. I think, yeah, there it is. Chinese imports are plummeting. Well, guess who's buying from China direct? the mass volume that goes into. Okay, I think it's still working. Mass volume. The other 80% of the bike market, which goes into Target and all of them, they canceled all their orders because their tariffs are so absurd, expensive, they can't function by buying bikes from them. So of course China bike market is plummeting. Talking about thousands and hundreds of thousands of units that just got canceled. So, and where the bikes are still being produced with a lower tariff is Vietnam, Cambodia, Taiwan, Japan. So there you got a lot of, and unfortunately, tariffs are not going away as in a news cycle by any means. And, you know, everybody's slightly deathly afraid of what it's going to do to the bike industry as well as a lot of other industries, in addition to ourselves. Just got to say, you know, it's just tough for sure. And, you know, you're looking for new products. I mean, hopefully, I think they'll find pipelines for all our bread and butter stuff like chains, tires, tubes, cables, housing, all that stuff. You work on bikes and build up bikes and so forth. I think they'll be fine, or at least be able to get some. You might pay a little more price for it. I mean, Continental tires have gone up quite a bit in certain outlets, especially on Amazon. And the whole de minimis was pretty much written off. Like, you can't, that's no longer a thing if you don't know it. That's probably why a lot of those Chinese direct to consumer companies, pretty much like Temu and AliExpress, have pretty much disappeared. I mean, they're still probably out there trying to do it, but once those things go in effect and they actually have to pay those tariff charges, because they were exempt under $800 or something like that. Now they are not. That's going to be a huge ripple effect to the consumers for the most part, for sure. Sales service, thanks for chiming in. Thank you for kind of chiming in from Canada. Hope you're having a nice summer there. Oh, you have a cycle electric bike company. Nice. I just wanted to let you know how much we appreciate your channel. Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you. It makes me blush, and it's not just the heat in the garage. It's getting to 83 outside. What's the temperature? 83 inside the garage. I have a little thermostat there. And yeah, that's Fahrenheit, because I know you do Celsius. I don't know the conversion, so sorry. Appreciate it. Yeah. You know, that's where this community piece is really kind of uplifted me in so many different ways. There's a lot of you either watch when you have time on Tuesday, or you watch the replay, which I get 2 or 3 times more views after it's been aired. And again, it's, you know, hopefully you don't get the, I mean, I'll have my little inserts for promotions of my affiliate stuff in mind, but the advertisements don't go, I don't turn the advertise on until it goes on the replay. So if you want to be less disruptive and watch it live, but I understand it, you know, life is busy and you're seeing this on the replay. Thank you for watching. I try to cut those down so they're not like the auto AI of YouTube puts them in, and so like every 2 minutes almost. I'm like, I go in and I delete like half of them just to kind of space it out. Just, you know, I know that's annoying, and I try to turn up the volume so hopefully it's not too loud. But when it's on the replay and those advertisements come in, hopefully they're very close to match the sound, so you're not annoyed as well. But I appreciate all of you that do watch and support, you know, this kind of experience. Basically, you know, it's trial by error shop, test lab, if you will, because, you know, between wax chains, detailing, doing tune-ups and all that, and trying to come up. And yeah, a lot of the stuff, if you've been in the industry, you probably heard it or felt it and know it. It might be repeat. I apologize if that annoys you, or the longer content like the lives. Some people don't understand this is live when they're watching it on the replay. They're like, "Well, you're taking too long to get to the point." It's like, well, it was live, so that was the point of being too long. So, I mean, believe me, when you get to the size of a channel of mine, you attract a lot of individuals that chime in, and you see a lot of comments. You're like, why? I'm pretty thick skinned, so it doesn't bug me too much. But I still scratch my head, like, why? Why are you saying this? This is just dumb. But basically trying to get to the heart and soul of our cycling community as being a bike mechanic part of it. And my story is where cycling, not specifically cycling itself, saved me, is working in the shop saved me. And I was a dumb punk rock kid coming out of high school and didn't have any direction. And my parents had a bike shop, and they told me I had to start working. If I wanted to work there, I had to cut my mohawk off, and eventually did and started working. And here I am 35 years later. I love the industry. I love the cycling aspect of it. I love the community portion of it. That's me, and I've learned and experienced a lot of different volumes and sizes and small, and I hope all of it helps one way or another. If it's just being repeated and telling you, like, don't forget about the off season, because you'll get to January and go, shit, I forgot, what was that? I was supposed to do this, or leverage it. Take some of those golden ideas, like I mentioned earlier, start working on a little bit of those. Take a minute to 2 on that. I know Aaron at Guava, I mean, he's, as my dad would say, is busier than a one-handed drummer, one-armed drummer, something like that. Nothing against, who was that, Aerosmith? I can't remember. Anyway, the drummer, one-handed drummer. Any case, my dad had some, and he's the one that got me in the cycling experience. Let's put it that way. And however you got here you are, and you love it. And we definitely do not do it for the pay, but we do need to get paid to keep doing it. So we're not going to be rich, but there's opportunities either through affiliate or waxy chains or whatever you find as a gold nugget and may want to look into to help you succeed or build your business and be stronger and more profitable. That's all the better. There's only so long you can work on bikes. Unfortunately, our bodies will break down, that we can't just wrench all day or stand on concrete and all that. I've already started to feel some of those effects. And I can't imagine how I'm going to feel 10 years from now. But I love doing it. And I always will do some portion of it and some capacity of it. So here leads to end. I say the best for last because I had a conversational piece. And it is kind of, I wouldn't say ragging, but being more critical to a counterpart of me in YouTube. There's been a very big success on YouTube this week or last week, maybe it was last week, of a YouTuber that hit a huge milestone. That does, not me, a lot of stuff like me, but not everything like me. Totally different brother from a different mother in a different part of the United States. He's in Wisconsin. Now I'll divulge his name in a minute, but and you probably already partially figured it out if you've been watching my channel. And I have some criticism, and I love to hate the guy. Not personally, just it's like I love that he has successes on it, and I'm just bent because I don't have as much, but I got to be very humble because what I do have is great. And what I have built so far, I think is, to me, it's not the quantity of subscribers, it is the quality of subscribers. And I know that sounds like a loser statement, but it's not everybody's winners. Well, no, I have my successes. And with my challenges, I've been a lot more creative and also looked for other opportunities and to actually wrangle it to a point where I'm building a platform where when I get to that milestone where he just hit, I will be making 4 times more than what he is making. Yeah, I'll be 10 times richer, not as in money-wise, but more fulfilled. Because I'll be resonating with an audience that's more culture to cycling community than just somebody watching a channel or just a whatever. I don't know, it's hard to explain. But the experiences that I've had with building my channel up to the 12,000 subscribers I have, which is huge, by the way, as everybody, if you watch YouTube at all, or you're just listening to my channel, that's just hitting 1,000 subscribers is big. And then if you hit 10, it's even, you're in like the 1% club. I mean, it's like, there are not that many. It sounds like there's a lot, but there's not. There's not that many that hit that milestone and then they go from there. And yeah, if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. But that's what my daughter says all the time. And of course, she's 9 and she's going to build her channel up when she comes of age and blow me out of the water. But whatever, that's because she grew up in it. I'm a bike mechanic trying to do YouTube. I'm more than happy to share my experiences with you, how I've built that up. Also share my experiences of working on older, cooler bikes, which are all over the place. There's a lot of them out there. And I'm glad there is, because it gives us opportunity to go back and upcycle all those cycles and bring it back to life. And with my experiences with that part of it, in addition to the business aspect of it, of helping you either run your business or be part of that cycling community, in addition to, if you're interested in getting into the social media perspective of how to leverage it to make more money. Well, here's the thing. It's like this individual, you demand. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it. I don't want to motivate you to work harder. I want to motivate you to work smarter. Don't follow my dumb ass doing things. Learn from my mistakes and do it better. Thanks, Randy. I appreciate it. Smarter is all about everything, because man, there's so many cuts and bruises and pains in your body, and how much Advil I have to take to keep going. Smarter is the only direction I got. So this is where we got. So this one individual hit a milestone, 100,000 subs, started doing lives, watched his live. Quite honestly, to be a little critical on it, boring, has no value in the sense of really giving any like technical tips or help you motivate you to do better in your shop or be part of the community kind of thing. The individual in this stance he saw an opportunity, and God bless him, he's leveraging it. And through I'm not telling you to do this whatsoever, but when he's getting, it's getting like these super thanks and all this, like as he's just talking about tacos and random experiences in his shop. And that's basically his show, is just him being a grumpy mechanic. All right. So you probably already figured out who it is. He's not leveraging the affiliate pieces whatsoever. If not, he needs to be. But he's making I think he made like $500 on one live just by people doing super things, super chats. For me, I'd rather if you're going to do an Amazon order or go order parts or whatever, go through just one of my affiliate links. I'm getting something and you're getting something. I'd rather have that versus you just give me who doesn't want a big a big envelope full of cash? But I know cycling community is very, they don't have a lot of money, or if you do have a lot of money, you're really smart about it and you want to make sure it goes as far as you want, and especially our situation right now. So you want to go as far as you can, and you want it to, I'd rather be a two thing as a community versus like just, somebody took me like $200. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It must have changed your life somehow. I don't even give my therapist $200. I don't even have a therapist, but I don't even give my therapist, or I don't even give my dog $200, even though he costs way more than that. But in any case, there alludes the Mr. Farmer, and yeah, we monetized the same month of the same year. He took off where bike mechanics are a-holes, and mine was talking about Specialized. and his got more traction through the algorithm, and he doesn't know the struggles. Just kidding. He has struggles. Everybody has struggles. He lives in a way smaller town. I don't envy him where he lives. I mean, it's probably a nice place, but it's not for me. So my quality of life is probably just as good, and my successes are different and on my own terms. And I'm not here to be, anger and flash, but there's things in the industry that does peeve me off, and it should for a lot of us. And they have been, and I've been seeing this either in it or as outside looking in and seeing how the industry has evolved. And some of these companies, you're like, I do feel the same feelings sometimes with some companies. Like, well, they did it to themselves, but that doesn't mean I want them to go bankrupt or crash and burn completely, because they have good people that work for them, and they have opportunity. So hopefully, after all this total, I do apologize to being a United States citizen, and I do vote. I did not vote for this, but I'm a voter, unaffiliated, and neutral, because I think they all can be dumb and they all can be brilliant. But I do apologize, as if you're looking from the outside in, sorry. Sorry. We will do everything we can to fix this if we can or allowed to. It's supposed to still be a free country, and I really hate seeing specifically the cycling industry as a global being affected by the stupidity of what we're all facing with, which is unnecessary to the nth degree. I don't know. I don't want to bring it to politics, but I do apologize if you're having a hard time in your country because of our problems that are going on here. And believe me, it's affected me personally and those around me. My wife's in the scientific community. Let that resonate for a second. So it's one of those situations where, it's making it harder for companies like Silka to bring in products from China. Well, China is probably the best place to build this one thing, which is our pump. I believe it because they vetted it. It's fine. And I've been in the cycle industry for so long that I know that at one point we did build a bike from spoke nipples to tires to cables from ground up back in the 60s. And ever since then, Schwinn era could not sustain that. And why it is today, and it has been for 40 years now, that the wheels are going to come from a different place. The componentry are made up from different companies, Shimano, SRAM, Campanoli, to name a few, in our current market, which are made in different countries, other than where the frames are being made. So the bike it's so dumb to think that a bike could be all made in the United States. It can't. And it won't, because the companies they'll never last. They'll never, it's so disruptive, and the tariffs are all short term, or however they go up and down. And it's just, you can't base a business off that or any long-term plans. And to build stuff in a flip of the switch in the United States is almost impossible. When back in the day in the 90s, Trek was trying to build a lot of their bikes in the United States, which was the frame, maybe some forks, and the wheels. And other than that, everything else was made over somewhere else and brought in. So a third of the bike is only what we could probably make here, but the rest of it. And there's still companies are still making the frames and so forth. Like I think Stinner and Cali. I just became an affiliate of theirs through AvidLink. So I know they make titanium and steel. I'm really interested and intrigued. And they do white labeling for other smaller companies like the Made type stuff. But when you're looking at that, it's almost impossible for a company to make a decision to do that unless they already were planning to do that, to build in the United States or assemble in the United States. And that's about the extent of it. regardless, it doesn't matter. It's just a distraction. So unfortunately, we're affected by it. You guys in Canada are affected by it. Everybody else. I just wanted to say, sorry. Wish I could do something about it. I'll do what I can about it, but this is where we're at. And please don't blame, don't kill the messenger on us. We're a cycling loving community. Actually, a lot of this BS has really brought a lot of us together, as in the cycling community specific, because we're all affected by it. Mechanic to bike builder to bike salesperson. Even when I walk in the corporate stores, it's kind of like it's a community feel. Like, oh, and I get it. A lot of them worked in small shops, and that's fine. And they've saw an opportunity to get a job where that has benefits. I get that. So they just want to still be part of it in a better supporting financially way, which a lot of it's terrible right now. It's tough. And there's still people buying bikes, but not nearly as much. The used market is huge. A lot of the shops have survived on a lot of service. A lot of us have always just been doing service, and we're just doing great. And some newer shops, which I hope the newer shops can take some learnings and go forward and be able to learn and become successful to how they see success. Because, there's like Blue Sky and Greeley, I believe they have to close their doors because of the expense of their rent was either going to go up or they just couldn't sustain it. The guy just had a kid, and I totally get it. And he's like a one in a shop, totally tough. So you have to look at other opportunities. But he was a part of that cycling community, and it'll be it'll be a hole in that community that's going to be missed. And the other shop there, that's a Trek store. It's not a corporate, but the guy that owns that store, he's very scowlish towards the brands he carry. The one brand for sure, but he's part of the cycling community. He represents the cycling community. He tells the other brands the big finger, and like, I'll sell when I want to sell and when I want to sell it. I'm not gonna play your game. And he has that leverage because nobody wants to open up shops there as a corporate level, because it's just not the volume that they did the numbers. It wouldn't work for them, but it does for a smaller shop. So wherever you may be, if you're seeing this as a cyclist, listen to an old bike mechanic in a garage and have his own shop, hope you find the content at least insightful, entertaining, seeing what's being talked about behind that wall. We love your bikes. We love you as customers, believe me. We love seeing you on the bike paths. Love seeing you on the trails. I mean, I'm sure some people are bent because some trails have gotten really busy. It is what it is. But they're out there having a good time. It is a community, and it has a community feel. And as us bike mechanics, bike shop owners, bike salespeople, we're part of that community, and we love being part of that community. It's one of the greatest communities to be a part of. And you can share it, take it how you will, thumbs up, thumbs down it, however you feel about it. It's fine. And you get, love e-bikes, hate gravel bikes, love gravel bikes, whatever. But at the end of the day, you're all part of the cycling community if you ride bikes. And you don't even have to be into the cycling. And some people don't get into it. It's fine. Maybe they're avid runners, swimmers. They like hiking instead. I live in a state where there's so much to do. You sometimes have to pick one or two because that's all the time you have. And again, but cycling is very good for your mind. It's good for your body. It really saves your knees. And for Kurt, if you're watching this on the replay, I'm not sure if you're watching it live. He's our huge advocate cyclist for the Greeley, Colorado area. Kurt Globe. Yeah, he had a heart attack, which would kill most people. I mean, the statistics are not great, but since he's been a pretty good, avid recreational rider since he retired, he bought a bike for me. I have a couple videos with him Looked at my library. The guy is great. And just did his tune-up on his bike recently. And he rode his age, which is 71. He rode his age 71, I think it was last week. And he had a heart attack in March. So take that to the bank, because you do some avid riding, recreational riding. It doesn't have to be a lot. Your doctor will be like 2-3 times a week. It doesn't have to be far. It doesn't have to be hard. But it saves your ticker. And the doctors pretty much did say, like, since he was doing a lot of riding, a decent amount of riding, enough anyway, that the damage from the heart attack was minimal for what he had. And he was able to recover and ride 71 miles, his age, a few minutes later. That is mind-blowing. That is uplifting to any community, cycling community. I wish my dad rode more. Maybe he would not have passed away from his heart attack. Take that for a moment. Well, thanks for listening to me rant. Hope it didn't end up on too much of this. It's supposed to be positive. Get out there, ride. Be part of it. Oh, thanks, Randy. Yeah, I need to make more. I know a guy shop T-shirts. Yeah, I need to get more designs. I have some funny designs in my head, but I just haven't put them down to pen to paper. I also want to put more effort into actually the jerseys. We've lost a company called Fat Lad in the Back in England. If you guys are watching that, they know him. They're loose-fitting clothing for cyclists, like for all sizes, for every shape. Every body is a cycling body to them, and they were making all sorts of cool stuff. And unfortunately, they're closing their doors, not because of necessarily the business perspective, is the owner's like, he needs to move on, do something else with his life, apparently. So I was hoping to try to maybe leverage with Jackaroo and see if I can do the United States version of Fat Lad on the Back, because I'm a chubbier guy. I don't really like the tight fit kits as much. I want something a little bit looser, more comfortable, which would be very, very beneficial to most of the cycling. As we know, cycling apparel is very needed, wicks moisture, chafing less on your bum, all that stuff. So that's where I was going to try to put my efforts into designs and so forth. That's one of my winter projects. Anybody remember what these are? Throw in the chat or description, or the description, or not description, but below if you know what these are. They're Bontrager stamped. Called Buzzkills. I use them to hold my rims while I take pictures. And they did nothing. I mean, I loved how the rep walked in with a pair of handlebars with these in and throw it on the floor in your shop, and you're like, what the fuck you doing? Yeah, whatever. They're just fancy bar and plugs that add more weight to your experience. They didn't do anything for the vibrate. Better off spending an extra $10-20 on some nice bar wrap, cushion. Any case. But I do have a few of these I've taken off of some refurbished bikes, but they look good. They work good to hold the wheel up so they don't roll off the table when I take pictures. In any case, hey, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thanks for watching this live if you're chiming in. Thanks for watching us on the replay. Much appreciated. I'll get to the 100,000 at some point, I'm sure. I'm not that jealous. I'm just saying, hey, I'm here. I am very appreciative of where I'm at. The guy's doing great. If anything, it just shows there's opportunity for myself, as well as you individuals, cycling enthusiasts to bike mechanic to bike shop owner alike. You have opportunities here as well as other platforms to build your store, build your presence, make it your own. And quite honestly, I'm working by myself most of the time. This is a huge lift for me to be able to interact with the community without actually having to be with any specific place. So this is awesome. And And yeah, it's just one of those things that I'm very, very humble. Let's put it that way. Very humble, very happy. Come on, I'm working out of the garage. I'm 4 weeks out on repairs. I'm working on cool ass bikes, shooting really cool videos of different things, interviewing, Bradley, which has been around, and various others to come. This is fun, and it's new and fresh for me. And I really appreciate you watching and being a part of my community and coming along for a ride. Like, if this was just, crickets, I would obviously wouldn't be doing it. But apparently some of you from day one have been like, hey, we kind of like your content, even though you sound like shit and you need to get a mic and you need to get better of not saying and too much. And that takes practice. Ooh, that's hard. It's really hard to change because some of those videos, you get really tired of editing that out. It's like, oh, no, yeah, I gotta. There's some good content coming up. I do apologize. I haven't had some longer content come out due to the fact that I'm busy. I'm trying to work out some the brand deals. It's more affiliate deals kind of thing. And we're working on a proof of concept of a project in addition to, which I hope will be warmly received and beneficial for the cycling community for older bikes. And it's something that will live longer than me. So it's one of those, giving to the community in the sense that insights and so forth that will help those who like old bikes or are thinking about it, go old bike and not feel so lost on trying to figure out parts and fit and stuff like that. So we're working on a project and we're in the testing of it. So case in point, that's my end of the season test and see if it works, if we put more into it. So we're going to put some more proof of concept into it. Plus my son, he's a web developer, back-end developer, and he wants to get on a project with me. So we figured this might be kind of fun to, if it doesn't come to anything, at least it's fun to just hang out and work through stuff. So in any case, it is a family business in a weird way. And you're a part of this family community too. Not to leave you out whatsoever. Thanks again for hanging out with me, Randy. Pleasure having you chime in. I know there's a few of you that either are listening or didn't chime in. You're probably busy wrenching. I get it. I was like that last week when I was listening to somebody else's podcast. I'm like, I can't, I don't know how you do this. Just hope you enjoyed the content. Chime in later, comment later, thumbs up later, whatever. Polite, thank you for chiming in, appreciate it. And sales service, thank you for the warm note. That just reminds me, I have a couple, the weirdest thing. I mean, what really blows me away is I've been doing this for a few years, and not just the YouTube, but just servicing and providing refurbished bikes. And I've had a few customers and watchers of YouTube or what have you handwrite a thank you letter to me. Unfortunately, I'm a shitty writer, so I'm not going to write you a letter back, but this is your thank you letter to you. There's a couple of them. And I have a couple of other places. I mean, there's a Grace. And this is earlier on. This is in 2022. I mean, beautiful handwriting. I mean, just thank you for so much for providing this bike. I had another guy down in Texas. Drawing a blank on the name. I know you watch my stuff. Thank you so much. You actually live in the same town where they make Jardines salsa that we love so much. That is on my Amazon store because mechanics like to eat. So I put a list of stuff on there that salsa's there, some chips. Check it out. Anyway. But yeah, he is a BMXer, probably older than me or around my age, acquires, builds and fixes up BMX bikes, that kind of thing. So there's all of us old kooks out there doing our thing, and I really do appreciate all of you being a part of it. Thanks again. Well, hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I hope it's nice in your neck of the woods where you even got in a ride yet already or going to do a ride. Again, and it saves tickers. That's a proven fact. Any case, yeah, we'll talk more, work on some content. Will be coming up. You got some cool stuff coming up. It's going to be cool. At least I think it's cool. It's going to be fun, that kind of thing. And again, check out my links below in the description. If you're going to be shopping, why not? Click on it. If you're going to do some shipping, Bike Flights is a good source. A lot of shops have also told me like they're really turned off of selling bikes online because of the shipping aspect of it. I'm telling you now, I've been doing it for over 5 years, and over half my bikes are shipped, or over half my products are shipped, and the success rate is pretty huge if you do it right. You definitely have to take your time, but once you get those skill sets down or the processes down, it could be very lucrative for your business, and you actually are helping out a lot of customers that need those lower price point or vintage or whatever may be out there, bike parts and stuff. So be part of the solution, not be part of the problem. In any case, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the flip side. Whatever that flip side would be. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, that's creaky. That's the cables. They're making noise. Huh? Built made in. Is that the Chehalis? No, it's not Chehalis. Oh, this is the Chehalis one. You guys remember Chehalis Kleins? Before they closed the factory down? I thought they made these after they moved everything over, but apparently not. It has a stamp from Chehalis. In any case. Oh, yeah. It takes all kinds. This one's pretty. Is it changing colors for you? It gets to a blue. Yeah, it's cool. Classic. You ever get a chance, pick one up. Take it for a ride. All right. Lunchtime. Lunch. Don't think I'm having tacos, though. Even though I like tacos. Oh, yeah. If I insulted you, Mr. Farmer, I'm sorry, but not sorry. Love you from another brother, from another mother. Talk to you later. Y'all have a good one.